Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream Saturday. I hope you guys have had a good week and that your weekend has started well as well. Let me skip this advert that's trying to get involved immediately. So, I did manage to find the We Can Fall Down video and relink it to the software. A few people have been messaging me over on Patreon and it has been requested quite a lot over the last few live streams. But I was going to try and improve the quality of it and do this and do that with the live performance videos for the live streams, but I just didn't get around to it. And then because I was moving files around, I then moved the file that this piece of software needs to reference, so it had disappeared. So I found the file again, have imported it back into the software so that we could start tonight's live stream with it. So there we go, listening to We Can Fall Down again to begin the live stream. Now, here's a bit of news for you that you might have noticed that I started a little bit late tonight because I've been trying to figure out, and I've been trying to figure out this for days, trying to figure out this, what I thought was a delay during the live streams and the fill jams when I get the guitar out. The guitar I thought was slightly behind the backing track when we do the fill jams, but I then realised after the live stream that my guitar is in front of the backing track, which is probably worse because it means that you're playing ahead of the changes. So if you're playing a particular run and a change happens, your run is happening kind of too early. But anyway, it meant that it's been an absolute nightmare to try and figure this out. And typically what has happened is that before the live stream at about 10:15, so maybe about an hour ago, I then imported a backing track into the software and it was working, and I was playing along and then recording it and then playing it back, listening to it, and it was in time. So I thought, oh great, so I did that 3 times and great, it was all in time. So I then just double checked before going live that it was still working, and then it was out of time again. So it seems like the issue I've got is entirely random, as to more often than not my guitar is going to be ahead of whatever I'm hearing out of the speakers. So it's going to take even more investigation. But the reason that, the reason that I've got a little bit of hope is that it did work. But then I didn't change any settings and then it didn't work. So you think, well, what is going on? Anyway, let me get the names of my patrons. Let me get the names of my patrons up on screen. Now, can you tell that the button for getting the patrons' names up on screen is exactly the same button for this camera? So that's what just happened there. But let me get the names of my patrons up on screen because they make this all possible. And this is the point, when I'm doing these live streams, I've got about, 50 buttons. And if I miss it by a millimetre, it means I'm going to be clicking on wrong buttons. But I don't think, it doesn't usually happen, but if it does happen, I try and just roll with it. And yeah, anyway, thank you guys at the bottom of the screen, foundation of everything that I do, as always. So thank you. And Jennifer says, we can't hear it when you play. So I'm not sure whether that's with reference to the backing tracks and the guitar, but I think the backing track can be heard, the guitar can be heard, but it's just out of time. What's really weird is that it never used to be an issue. And it's only since, I guess, updating software and with updates with, Google Chrome and Safari, that things are now not syncing up. So I'm wondering whether I go back throughout all of my live streams and try and find when it was in time, when there weren't any latency issues, and then roll back to those drivers, like a year ago. But the problem with that is then I always get messages that pop up saying update, 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 and I just keep on having to cancel them. And not only would it be doing that for the software that I'm using for this live stream, but also for the Scala interface. It will say, oh, the drivers are out of date, update. So I'd have to be constantly cancelling things, but maybe that's better to have it in time. Who knows? It's just really annoying that it was in time an hour ago and then it decided before the live stream to go out of time. But what we'll do tonight is, let me get the lights goal up on screen, and I think this is going to be horrendously wrong because it's still set from Tuesday at 345, and the fill jam is now 288. I'm going to have to type that in because I've told you what I was doing before the live stream. It meant that I didn't have time to change anything because I was just trying to sort everything out. But it means that we are going to be having an out of time fill jam at the end of the live stream if we do hit that target. The other thing that I did realize, and I will bring up another Safari browser, that the latency or the difference between the guitar and the backing track seemed less through Safari than it did through Chrome. So we've got all of these different things going on. Why is there a difference? I don't know, between browsers. Why did it work in my software and then just decides not to work? I don't know. So yeah, let me also set up the lycometer because I haven't done that either. Let me drag that over there and click over here. Right, we are at 224 likes so far. So we're pretty close already. We've got, what's that, 120 more people that we're looking for before the end of the live stream to hit the thumbs up. So if you could do that, that would be very much appreciated to have our out of time jam. Now, let me give you guys a shout out. I haven't done that yet. We've got Mimi3212 and Maybury Mafia, Laugh Out Loud, Can, Sharky, Paul, Chris, Mike D, Laurie, Billy, Mo, Lucy Lou, Jennifer, Teresa, Debbie, Pamela in there as well. Hello to you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. Finally, let me get the donations tab up on screen because you don't have to donate. Just watching is great. And that goes for everything on the channel. You don't have to donate for anything. But I think it's important that those people that can't resist donating know that between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube through the Super Chat window. And between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link, which you can find in the description below. But you don't have to donate at all. Yeah, just maybe hit the thumbs up, leave a comment and all that cool stuff. Now, something that I will say about, I don't think we'll get into Troll Corner, or it's not a specific thing about trolls on tonight's live stream. It's more of a general thing, but there's one particular troll who's really dedicated. I'll tell you what, we'll jump into Troll Corner. Why not get it out of the way? So, here we go. This has got to be maybe a record for getting into Troll Corner. But there's this one particular troll who is so dedicated to not only leaving troll comments directed at me, they start having a go at everyone in the comment section. So, when somebody posts something that is just, you know, an absolutely innocent comment like anybody would do, this troll will then start saying, oh, well, what do you mean by that? You don't know what you're talking about and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, the Trolls channel has 0 videos or no content. This is always the way that it works. They're not actually ever doing something themselves. They're just going onto channels that apparently they don't like and spending ages commenting to everybody. So the other thing is that on my channel, because I don't, this is the other thing, because I don't remove comments or block comments or anything like that, it means that I get a log of all of the comments that a particular channel might make. And this particular channel has made over 100. And I don't know whether it just stops with YouTube, just says, oh, it's over 100 and then doesn't tell you if it's over 200 or 300. But by the amount of comments that are going through, yeah, he's certainly spending a lot of time on the channel. And what is weird is that the trolls make the claims that I remove comments and that I delete comments and I censor the comment section and all that kind of stuff. But it's clear to see, anyone can see that the troll is commenting on loads of different videos. So that wouldn't be the case if I were removing comments. So even their arguments don't stack up because their comment is there. So their whole argument doesn't work. They say, oh, he deletes his comments or deletes comments he doesn't like. And then that's there. And that will be there for weeks and years, into the future. So their own argument, yes, but is a bit of a contradiction. But what they say in their comments are contradictions as well. And I've tried to explain how what they're saying is a contradiction, but they just can't understand it, or they don't want to understand it. They don't, I don't know, they don't understand it on any level. And while we are in Troll Corner, there was a comment that came through from someone who was, this happens quite a lot, where people know a little bit about the recording process and production, but they don't understand the pitch monitoring software and looking at pitch lines. So some people will come on and say, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Because what you've done is inconclusive and unreliable. And they don't know that it's exactly the opposite of that. That it is absolutely reliable and it is conclusive. And that's why my videos still exist on my channel, even the high profile ones. So let's get out of Troll Corner, because that is that for tonight. And I'll see you guys in the normal live stream, which is just the same as this, but without a picture on screen, in a second. So, right now, back to the normal schedule for tonight's live stream. We have the cover video vote, which is between Behind Blue Eyes, that has 53% of the vote, and was it Silence is Broken? I think it was the Damn Yankees classic. I always call the covers the classics, but if you want to hear either of those, make sure that you click on whichever one you want to hear at the top of the live chat room tonight. And if you could leave a thumbs up, that would be great. Even though the jam will be out of time, it's always good to bust out the guitar and see what happens. Now, because I was so behind with setting everything up, I haven't even managed to check the Facebook messages or see if there's anything for Picture Corner tonight. So I'll have to, maybe I won't be able to do it tonight because it's going to be a little bit complicated to do. So I'll have to do it in the next live stream. We'll have a rollover of Picture Corner. So, Melody Rock says, is that a new guitar in the back? And it's literally the opposite of that. So this is the neck of my Tanglewood Nevada. I was just moving around things, and it might have been there for a while. I did that quite a few days ago. I should point at it. And that was my first ever electric guitar. So when I started playing the guitar, I started learning on acoustic, and then my parents got me that for Christmas. There. And that's my first ever guitar. I just happened to be moving things around. The problem is with that guitar is the electrics, because it's so old and it's a Tanglewood Nevada, the electrics in it aren't particularly good, and I've even redone them once before, and I don't know, that was maybe 10 years ago or something, and now it's on the way out again. So if I am going to play that again, I don't really play it apart from just practicing in front of the TV, because I don't plug it in, just kind of practicing and be able to hear it at a low level. It is fine. So without plugging it in, I can still hear it, and it's got quite heavy strings on, I don't know, like 11s or 12s, so that's the one that I just use to just go through techniques on and just get that muscle memory going just while watching TV, because you don't really need to concentrate on stuff when you're just doing muscle memory, like fast runs and all that kind of stuff. It's very much just letting your hand do it and repeating cycles over and over again. So there we go. Right, now let me get into the donations. I can see that Paul donated in the super chat window, so thank you for that. And the message is a $10 donation, and the message is, here we grow again. 514,000 subscribers. Let's have a great time tonight, and spike the likes all y'all. Peace, love, and rock. So thank you for that. Now, this is something that I haven't changed either, but it'll be here somewhere. It's one of these layers 514,000 subscribers. Let me put this up on screen, and there we have it. Now, as for the cheering and the clapping and all that stuff, it should be going on in the background. It might be louder than my voice and the level that I'm talking at. So, yeah, if it's too loud, then never mind. It's impossible for me to mix it while it's going on, while I'm talking, because I'm talking, so I can't hear anything in the background. So, of course, to me, it just sounds like it's my voice. But I think there is applause and cheering going on. But anyway, yeah, 514,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing and getting involved on the channel. It is very much appreciated. We'll keep on pushing forward and see where we end up. So, that is that. Right, Cindy says, I can hear the cheering, but it's not too loud. So, that is good. And, oh, here we go. The Emperor of Wyoming just says congratulations. Actually, he says congratulations. So thank you everybody for just watching. Like I said, it is a great number, and we'll see where we end up. But 514,000 is certainly a number that I don't know. Every time I even try to comprehend the number, it doesn't make any sense. So I just keep on doing what I do. And if people like watching the videos, then that's great. But it is also important for me to get the requests through and just point out exactly what's going on, because that's all I'm doing in my videos. And I know that a lot of requests are asking about what's going on in particular performances with particular artists. But with the analysis videos, there's every chance that the performance I'm going to be looking at could be fully live. It could be fully live vocals and fully live band. It's just the luck of the draw, really. So this is another thing that's quite funny when I make a video and I point out in the video exactly what's going on, like the Alanis Morissette video recently, where I'm just showing you what is happening in the live performances. And I said that, yeah, she's singing fully live, and I compared, I don't know, maybe 3 performances to show that, yeah, these are all totally live vocals. And then somebody wrote in the comments section, clickbait title. So I replied and said, the title is exactly what the video is about. It's showing you what Alanis Morissette is doing live. And I think with that title, it's a similar thing when people ask me, oh, can you look at this particular artist? Because I'm thinking of watching them live, and I want to know whether they're going to be performing live or it's a backing track and that kind of thing. So I do the video, and in the title I say, I can't remember what the title was, but it's something like, thinking about watching Alanis Morissette live, this is what you're paying for. So then in the video I'm literally showing you what you're paying for. So people who watch that video, if they like a fully live vocal, fully live band, then that's what they're paying for. If I show that something else is going on, there's a backing track and it might be lip synced or mimed, that's what you're paying for. So that's not clickbait. That's just showing people who might want to go to a show what's going on. Because in both of those scenarios, some people might not mind that it's not a fully live show and that they'll still buy tickets anyway. So, yeah, to say that is clickbait. What I see is clickbait and the thumbnails that people do that are nothing to do with the video. Clickbait is something that is totally unrelated to the video that you're going to watch, because they're putting something different in the thumbnail or different in the title that is obviously getting people to click on it. But yeah, I think finding out what people are doing live and then showing what somebody is doing live is about as accurate as you can get it. So I don't know, unless somebody's seen one of my videos in the past that might have been on somebody lip syncing or miming, and they assume that every video that I do is about that. I guess they just have to watch the channel more to know that I'm going to point out what's going on regardless. because that's all it is. It's just objective. I'm going to point out whatever's going on with whatever performance, whatever artist, regardless of whatever it might be. That's just what I'm doing. And I know that a lot of the performances, I have to point out things that maybe not well known about that particular performance or video. And thinking of the one that I released last night, where you got this trend where somebody's invited up, you know, like in a busking scenario, and then the person has got an amazing voice. And yeah, the one last night is just auto-tuned on the mic. So the person going up there is going to be auto-tuned, and that's going to be the result. There's going to be no other result other than that. So yeah, I don't know whether people necessarily appreciate that the people going up having their voices tuned, but yeah, well, certainly from the comments, it seems like people don't realise, especially in this kind of setup. It really does seem to be the trend that people will set up things to look a particular way, and then it actually isn't what's being portrayed in front of the camera. And, you know, it could be kind of pre-recorded and post-edited and corrected and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but I will just point out exactly what's going on with each performance that I'm asked to look at. Right, we are going to be jumping into the PayPal window as well, because we had a few donations in there. And Tammy donated £20. Thank you for that, Tammy. And the message is, hi Phil, congratulations on hitting 514,000 subscribers. That is astounding. Keep up the great work. You rock. So thank you for that, Tammy. And there's been another one here. It's Debbie, who's donated £10. So thank you for that, Debbie. And the message is, hi Phil, congrats on 514,000 subscribers. Do you think some of the older rock groups, Stones, Queen, would have stayed indie in today's world, given the state of the music industry now? Thanks for all you do. Love you, Debbie. So thank you for that. And I mean, it's going to be difficult to say, because I think back in the day you used to get a lot of bands and artists who, when they were asked to not perform live, they would then make a point of showing that we're not performing live because we want to perform live. So for the bands and artists that have that line that they don't cross, yeah, it'd be very difficult for them to sign a record deal and then they say, okay guys, right, we're going to go and do a show, but you're not playing. And it's not only a show for TV, I mean an actual show, like maybe a festival or a gig, or maybe their show in an arena. They might have to pretend to play or pretend to sing. And you think, yeah, I don't know, like bands like, you know, the Stones and Queen, they did it all fully live, and you do it all fully live. Having that kind of history and continuing it now, like say for example that, you know, Mick Jagger got up on stage and now he was singing with auto-tune, it'd just sound really weird. Or if he was, you know, lip syncing or miming, I don't think he'd be able to do that because he's so used to performing live, and it just is what it is. And that's what the art form is all about. Just, you know, producing what you produce, and then people can love it or hate it. And yeah, that they're not the kind of band that are struggling for a following because, you know, what they're doing is a little bit rough around the edges, because that's what they are. So yeah, I know that with studio releases it is an industry standard to pitch correct vocals, and yeah, I'm going to be look out for tomorrow night's video, because I'm going to be looking at something that is so, I don't know, strange, but it's so heavily edited. I'm really surprised that it's been released in the form that it has been released, but also given the history of the producer that's worked on it, it's really a strange video for tomorrow night. So look out for that one. But with live bands, I think that it's just what they do, and then when it comes to actually pretending to do it live, they really struggle, because it is like learning a new skill, being able to lip sync or mime a whole show without people seeing. Like, we had that video on Diana Ross where she's singing, but then she's kind of waving to the crowd, forgetting that, oh, I should be singing because I'm lip syncing, miming, and putting on the show. And with their normal performances, when they look at someone and wave, their vocal, it doesn't matter because they're singing live. It doesn't matter that they're not by the microphone. But now you've got to learn to pretend or make sure you know where all of your vocals are. And when there are like ad-libs in songs with those singers who ad-lib live a lot, trying to remember where the ad-libs are, that'd be an absolute nightmare as well. Because, you might miss them and then everyone can see that you weren't singing. So, I think for the legacy artists, it's better for them just to keep it all live. But whether they're instructed to, I don't know, lip sync or mime, I don't know. And then you had the other case or the other side of it where legacy performers would be playing live and they do it fully live, and we had that Graham Bonnet analysis recently where he does it all fully live, singing unaided without auto-tune, but then what is released is so heavily tuned and not representative of the live performance that people think it's lip synced or mimed. So that's the difficulty as well, that things are so heavily edited that people are getting the wrong impression about particular singers, because we looked at the footage on the night. He definitely sang live. The band were definitely singing live, and they were playing live. And then we had that other part of the song where the guitar solo has now been changed. It's been overdubbed, and for me that's a little bit too much, because now everything is being edited. You think, well, how much of a live performance can you change until it isn't live anymore? There has to be some kind of live audio coming through. Maybe they're just leaving the drums alone. Who knows? But I think this is just too much editing, probably all round at the moment. But anyway, so I think that they might have stayed independent, but the problem with being independent, I mean, not even signing to an indie label, being totally independent, is that you've got to be able to do all of the business side yourself and the marketing, and have your own website and all that kind of stuff. So it takes a lot of other skills that some musicians, especially musicians maybe 50 years ago, who signed record deals and became very popular and just go out and play, they might not necessarily know how to produce their own songs and do it all themselves and promote themselves and do all that marketing side of it and the social media side of it, that they have kind of teams of people who do that for them. So it would be very difficult for them to do it now. But if they were growing up now, then maybe they'd be independent. But then again, you've got the whole AI thing where people aren't even a band or an artist, and they're just typing prompts and then releasing music. And you've got that sort of very weird side of it. Anyway, thank you for that, Debbie. And Joe has donated £10. Thank you for that, Joe. And the message is, so Santa is coming to your house and bringing you 3 guitars. You get to pick whatever guitars you want. Price is no object. What do you pick and why? And these have to be guitars you want to play, not 500,000 collector's items like a 57 Les Paul. So thank you for that, Joe. And I mean, I have said in videos before that the 2 guitars that I wanted, first of all, was the Fender Strat because of Jimi Hendrix. So I wanted a Fender Strat, white Fender Strat with maple neck, and I've got one of those, so that's great. And the other guitar that I wanted from the heavier side of things would have been, I mean, listening to kind of Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and Eddie Van Halen as well, but a guitar that was more built for that kind of playing, then I first of all got an Ibanez Geo. But if I had the option of getting a gem, which is like here, this guitar, I could just point at it, it's there. So and I was fortunate enough to get that. So those 2 would have been on my list. But I guess if I had to pick another one that I don't have, would probably be, I mean, one of the guitarists that I listened to a lot was Gary Moore, and his kind of style of playing, and just his all-round ability and his kind of overall sound I was a big fan of. So it'd have to be probably a Gary Moore, Gibson Les Paul, because I've never had a Les Paul, never owned one. It's just a guitar that I've never really, never had the opportunity to buy. But I don't think, because I just like the Fender Strat, and then the heavier kind of hard rock sound, and using a Gibson Les Paul, you could say that Slash, I don't know whether, I wasn't a huge Guns N' Roses fan, and by that what I mean is that I didn't really get into their music a lot. I don't know why. Maybe the occasional song, and Slash's guitar playing is unique, and that it's him when he's playing, which is just a sign of a great player and somebody with great expression on the fretboard. But for some reason, I just never listened to a lot of Guns N' Roses. And when I see people, there are loads of people online, on Instagram and YouTube, who have Gibson Les Paul, and they'll be playing in exactly the same style as Slash. So you think, well, that's great, but I always think that you should use guitarists or listen to guitarists as influences, but then kind of do your own thing with it. Don't kind of try to play things exactly the same as Slash in this particular example, because then you'll just start sounding like you're trying to copy someone. It'd be a lot better just take a few guitarists. I've said about being influenced by obviously Jimi Hendrix, but Eddie Van Halen, and not that I'd spend a lot of time on technique like Satriani or Vai. Listening to players like Gary Moore, you're certainly getting into that kind of the feel of vibrato. Brian May as well, with his solos, the melodic appreciation that he has with guitar solos, it's getting that part. His vibrato was really cool as well, so taking elements of that. So Red Beach for Winger, taking elements of all of those things that you enjoy, but then applying it to your own way of playing, so that you don't try to copy any one of those, so that when you play it isn't like they're saying, oh, you sound like you're copying Jimi Hendrix, or you sound like you're copying Eddie Van Halen, or you sound like you're copying Satriani or Vai or Gary Moore or Red Beach. So you've got all of these different guitarists that hopefully when I play my guitar, it doesn't sound like I'm just copying one of those. It's just kind of what I want to play, influenced by other guitarists. But anyway, so that's it. I'd say that I'm very lucky that the two guitars, and I'm not really into the whole spending lots of money on guitars just for the sake of it. I think that if you find a guitar that you really like the feel of and that suits your physiology, the size of your hands and all that kind of stuff, then you might be lucky that it's not really expensive, or you might be very unlucky and it might be really expensive, and that happens to be the guitar that your hand suits. So for me, I've been lucky that my hand suits the Fender Strat, and also I think lots of people's hands suit the Gem because it's so easy to play. But the Les Paul, I'd have to kind of play around with it to see if it's something that works with me or not. But anyway, thank you for that, Joe. And Karen's donated £3.88. Thank you for that. The message is, hi Phil, congrats on hitting 514,000 subscribers. I have faith that you'll sort out the timing issue on your Phil Jams. A dedicated troll. Is that a first? Trolls argue for the sake of arguing. At least that's what I think. You stay as awesome as you are. Cheers, Karen. So thank you for that. Yeah, the annoying thing about this technical issue is how it can be there and then not be there, because you think, well, if you're trying to solve an issue, how can you eliminate variables if you get a different result from the same setup? Because that's a real problem when nothing has changed but the result changes, because they think, well, where do I go from there? It's like, the way that you set it up first, that was perfectly in time. You do exactly the same thing again, it's now out of time. So I don't know what that can be. I don't know why it worked. and why now it doesn't work. But yeah, I'll have to there's got to be something somewhere that, whether it's changed itself in the software, even though I haven't changed anything, I'll have to figure it out. But anyway, we have another donation from Karen, £5.35. Thank you for that. The message is, "Hi Phil, I enjoyed your recent analysis video. What came to mind was the quote from Jermaine Greer, 'The essence of pleasure is spontaneity.' I think this quote applies to the lack of spontaneity in the busking video. What do you think? Thanks for all you do, Karen." So yeah, I think a lot of the videos, not only that kind of busking one, but the ones that are even worse than that are pre-recorded, and it's all very contrived as to what's going on. And knowing that you're not singing, but then pulling the faces as if you're singing, I don't know, I think that's all a little bit weird, that you know that they're pretending, that they're not actually producing any sound. Yeah, a bit weird. But anyway, yeah, we will jump back into the super chat window because we've had a few donations over there. And let me give a plug of that thumbs up, because the likeometer is just 19 away from ensuring that we have a Phil Jam at the end of the live stream. And it's going to be out of time. It's going to be a bit weird, but I will try and import the link from Joe into a Safari browser, because I think that means it's less delayed. It's still a bit out of time, but the Chrome one was so out of time, it's, yeah, a bit silly being ahead of the backing track. It's just very weird. But anyway, we will now, yeah, go back into that super chat window. We've had a donation from Jennifer, who's donated $5, and the message is, "Phil, may sound dumb, but..." There were comments there, so it's like Phil, comma, may sound dumb, not Phil may sound dumb, which might be true now and again. But how do you soundproof a room like the one you have? Thanks and take care. So, soundproofing is, yeah, I mean, it's a huge project if you're going to properly soundproof a room. So what you've got to do is, you've got to stop sound waves from penetrating the walls and the outside space, which more often than not, if you've been to rehearsal studios that are soundproof, then you'll know what kind of stuff you're dealing with. And even still, where I used to rehearse in Maidenhead, we had these rooms where when you're outside, you can still hear the band rehearsing, but it was a muffled sound, so you could just about kind of hear what was going on. But you know, you've got a full band playing at, you know, gig volume in there, but the doors were about, I think, this thick, and obviously the walls and everything. And the other problem about, if you haven't got air conditioning, it gets hot in there, so everything's being blocked. So any potential escape route for sound waves is being blocked. And it's not even that, because sound waves will go through, or at least a percentage of a sound wave will go through a wall. If you know, it's like there's the reason that you can hear your neighbours when they're shouting or playing loud music, is because some of that sound is still getting through. So you're trying to get, first of all, the sound waves to bounce off as many things as possible, so that they're all hitting different angles. So you might see, you know, stuff like this behind me, even though this isn't a soundproof room, there are bits of foam on the walls in order to try to get the sound to bounce off in different directions. So it's almost like diffusing sound waves. So it's kind of taking away their power, which means that you get less of the echo or reverb sound, because we're not bouncing off a straight surface, we are kind of diffusing the sound into that foam. And this is why they look, I don't know whether you can see there behind me, they've got different angles to them, the foam. So it means that the sound waves are going to hit them and come off at a different angle, but because it's foam, it's not like hitting a solid surface where you just get a perfect, you know, kind of bounce. If you imagine sound waves hitting a solid surface and that doesn't absorb anything, then it hits that and comes off, the same volume, and that's where you start to get like, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say you're in a hall. If you've ever been in like one of those old sports halls or in a church where you've got, wooden flooring and solid walls, and if you shout, you'll hear that sound reverberate within that space because nothing's absorbing those sound waves. So, a simple way to do it is shout as you normally would do in your room, and then shout into a pillow and see how different it sounds. And you'll find that, once you diffuse those sound waves and they're effectively absorbed by the pillow, that's going to be a lot more muted than just allowing the sound waves to escape everywhere. So, obviously it's a really technical thing, and I wouldn't attempt myself without a lot of research and probably planning. I wouldn't attempt to soundproof a room. It would be such a huge undertaking. There are companies that do it anyway and know exactly what they're doing about it. So all I would do is just slightly diffuse the sound to make it so that, like at the moment, even still the sound in here isn't kind of perfectly dead, but it's because I'm using the room for different purposes, and it isn't really a treated room, but it's good enough that I can speak without there being loads of reverb and having almost that echo sound to my voice because of how reflective the space is for the sound waves. So that's it. If you imagine that example that I gave where you're shouting into a pillow, imagine a room with pillows now that fill all of the space outside of the walls, and you'd have foam on the walls as well. You might even have something hanging from the ceiling in order to break up the sound waves there, and again that can be absorbing sound waves and the sound of everything that's going on. But when you start really packing in walls with stuff that's going to stop the sound from getting through, then you start getting closer to soundproof. But you've got to do so much, and I'm not an expert. I've never soundproofed a room in my life. I've only really applied things to try and diffuse the sound a bit, try to get it a little bit more dead in the space. So it's a huge undertaking, but anyway, there are plenty of companies and people that you can talk to who are absolutely experts in the way that they treat rooms, because I always say it's a skill in itself. There are loads of skills and art forms to do with sound, like being a mastering engineer, for example, someone that isn't a producer but they just do mastering, and they are amazing at what they do because that's what they've done for their whole lives. And it's the same thing there, just going to the professionals for stuff that I say, rather than potentially messing it all up yourself, go to the professionals to get it sorted out. But anyway, thank you for that. Jennifer. Right. David has donated $5 as well. Thank you for that, David. And the message is, I just want to wish you an early Merry Christmas, add to your family. So thank you for that. And that is quite early. It's the 6th of December at the moment. But it means we're 19 days away from Christmas, and I'm going to have to check as for what's happening at Christmas with we always do the Christmas Eve live stream and the New Year's Eve live stream as well. And as for what will happen between those two dates with videos and stuff, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it as to when the days fall, and with family and Christmas and seeing family, I'll have to work out the schedule, but I'll let you guys know over on Patreon as to what is happening this year. So, I can see that we've just had Natural Pro 2003 Orlando in the house, popping into that super chat window with a donation of $2, and Orlando says, we hit the thumbs up goal, or close to it. Hit that thumbs up. So thank you for that. 5 more people required to bust out the guitar and have an out of time fill jam. Right, now we are, I think, up to date with everything, and we're approaching 5 to midnight here in the UK. I'm just going to look at the backing track to see how long it is. Oh, 8 minutes and 56 seconds. So, yeah, it's going to be a long one for tonight with the jam. A long jam, there's going to be out of time, but we'll just have to deal with it. So thank you for sending that my way, Joe. But also thank you guys for voting for tonight's cover video. We have just hit the target for the Phil Jam, so the out of time Phil Jam. So thank you guys. Hit the thumbs up. We'll bust out the guitar after. Well, I don't think we'll be... Well, we've got to leave a bit of space, but not immediately after this particular cover video. It looks like it's going to be Behind Blue Eyes. That was just in the lead. And it is Behind Blue Eyes that has 54% of the vote. So we will be jumping into that. And maybe make sure that it is available. Right, yeah. So this is my version of the Who classic. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you after. Rock.
No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be fated, to telling only lies. But my dreams, they aren't as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours all lonely. My love is vengeance, it's never free. What it's like to feel these feelings like I do, and I blame you. No one bites back as hard on their anger. None of my pain or woe can show through. But my dreams, they aren't as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours only lonely. My love is vengeance, it's never free.
And there we have it. That was my version of Behind Blue Eyes, the Who classic. And I could see in the live chat room that I can't remember who it was. Oh, here we go. Bass player Sayer said, ask him about the backing vocals, because I think they said something like, how come the backing vocals are auto-tuned? And I don't know, I don't think it's a sarcastic thing or an ironic thing. I think they're genuinely asking. So I don't use auto-tune or pitch correction. I just try to sing accurately. That's all it is with backing vocals. And on that particular cover, it's just holding a note for a long time. So it's not really that difficult. I did spend a year learning how to sing on pitch, which is a really important thing, I think, to try and get a hold of. And when I started to learn to sing, there were probably bands and artists that were maybe using auto-tune live and all that kind of stuff. But throughout playing live, I only encountered a band that were playing on the same bill as myself and my band, Wings of Pegasus. There was only one band that I ever played with who were using auto-tune live. And and it really did stand out. It's probably because it was, a very long time ago now, maybe 15 years ago. So the technology was still a bit basic at that point. But we all kind of looked at each other and thought, hang on, what's this weird sound going on? And I'd never heard it being used live before, especially with a band that were kind of playing on the same bill as myself. So it sounded weird. But I don't use auto-tune or pitch correction. And there was somebody that ran one of my songs through the vocal pitch monitor. And I can't remember the channel that did it, but it was with Paris Nord, I think. And they showed how either accurate or inaccurate I was with the vocals. Now, the good thing about backing vocals, as you will know from my analysis videos, is that when you double track them or triple track them, as long as you're hitting the note relatively accurately, you're going to hear the average of those 2 or 3 voices. So if you're wanting to thicken up those backing vocals and you are doing that 2 or 3 times and you are quite accurate at singing anyway, then hopefully you're going to get quite an accurate sound. I mean, it isn't going to sound like auto-tune, like snapping to notes, because it is a natural voice, but it is certainly something that, you can hopefully get some accurate backing vocals going on by, maybe double tracking them, maybe triple tracking. It's all down to everyone's preference as to how many backing vocals you do or you like to do. Generally, I will say for the cover videos, I would do just 2, so I'd have left and right. Just pan them ever so slightly around the lead vocal, which is in the center. And I've never double tracked my lead vocal. I don't know. I just don't like the sound of it. It gives it a really kind of soft sound, whereas I prefer just having my main vocal down the middle and then having the harmonies either side. So obviously, if you're doing a cover video where there are 3 or 4 harmony lines, then you have to sing all of those as well, like Carry On Wayward Son. So anyway, yes, on Melody Rock says, that was you, Phil. You did an analysis on your own voice. Laugh out loud. I did that because there was somebody else who did either analysis and they made a comment saying it would be good if you could point out on your, I think it was Paris Nord was the song, if you can point out your voice. There's some reason behind it. I did a video showing Paris Nord and showing my vocal lines on screen because somebody else had done it. So I thought I'd make a video and reference what they had done. So anyway, there we have it. If you want to analyze my vocals, then you can do. I would hope that they are quite accurate because I spent quite a long time working on them. But I know that you're never, ever going to hear any kind of flip or weird thing going on because I know that I have sung it. So anyway, artistically, I just like to be able to say that, I have done all that and that was me. I think if I then sang and thought to myself, oh, that wasn't very good, let me use technology to make it something that it wasn't, it's just something that doesn't sit very well with me, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, if you're an artist that values all that kind of stuff. But I know for some people, they just would rather not spend time kind of working at it and just let the technology do it. But I'm somebody that I like to be able to do stuff myself. As you could tell, I do everything myself here on the channel. So there's the proof in the pudding. So Melody Rock says, I think it was for the Vocalaise video and people thought you were using auto-tune. So yeah, it might have been with that. It might have been some people saying that I was using auto-tune. But yeah, there's a video that you can all refer to. Oh, I remember what I did. I showed on screen the lines of my studio recording, and I didn't do my studio recording in one take. So I showed those on screen, and then I sung the song like this into the microphone, and then compared those lines with the lines that I did in the studio. So you can see whether the studio performance was representative of my voice singing into a microphone like this. So yeah, that's what I was doing to show. Because yeah, if you have genuinely sung something, you should be able to get it to look relatively similar, singing exactly the same thing again. So that's what I did in that video. So right, Karen's just we've had a couple of donations, I think. Orlando donated $5, says, a lot of American football on TV in the US. I'm watching this live stream. Rock! So thank you for that. And Karen donated $2 and says, Phil, we know you do everything au natural. Cheers! So thank you for that. Mimi3212 says, is there a picture corner? Not tonight, but I will do one on Tuesday because I was trying to set up the sound earlier and try and solve this delay thing, and yeah, it was working and then it stopped working, which meant I then spent loads of time trying to get it working again, which didn't work. So I hadn't had time to set up Picture Corner for tonight. But we will jump over to the PayPal window. Carmen donated £10.77. Thank you for that. And that is a straight up donation. And we're going to have to jump into this out of time Phil Jam because we've only got 10 minutes left and it's a 9 minutes backing track. So I'm going to click that on there. And I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my guitar and see if I'm getting the same problem that I was having earlier. Because I think when it's not going to work... Yeah, I now get... Hang on. Yeah, I mean, that's like a half-second delay there between me hitting the strings and then what's actually coming out of the speakers. So that's weird from my perspective, listening to my guitar repeating itself. So now how am I going to do this? Right, I have not set up... Okay, I'm going to have to... I mean, the sound for this might be all messed up as well because I'm setting this up or copying it into a Safari browser. Let me click on that, copy that, and go over here and then paste this. Because what I was doing earlier is for a backing track that I imported into the software, I was changing the levels just to try and kind of balance it up. But that was nothing to do with this. So the levels for this might be absolutely awful. So we will have a listen to this and see. Yeah, this is all a bit weird. But let me mute this. This is going to be a D Mixolydian Funk D7 Vamp guitar backing track, 130 beats per minute for you tempo fans. Let me skip this. Unmute this. Right, let's see if I can actually hear this because yeah, that guitar is really annoying.
Jam tracks for days.
Can you hear this? Can you hear this? Well, levels are okay. levels are not okay here. I can hardly hear the guitar. Zoom out! Go clean, it'd be dangerous. same chord. Where are we with this? Let's see. It's just the same chord. Oh, we've got like 30 seconds left. And a bit of a sudden ending there as well. So, there we have it. The out of time fill jam. Now, the problem with that particular fill jam was when I'm kind of going... all of that kind of stuff. If that's out of time, that's going to sound really dodgy. But I'm just playing along to the backing track as I'm hearing it. And I know that what I'm playing is coming in too early, and it's probably going to sound all out of time, but it was what it was. So there we have it, an out of time fill jam for tonight. And unless I can figure out in the future, then we're going to have a few out of time fill jams. I mean, I don't really want to have to roll back drivers like 2 years ago, but I might be forced to do that, which will be a bit of a shame. So there we have it. And by the way, it was just the same chord for 8.5 minutes. So there's not too much you can do with it in terms of going around for journeys in other keys. But yeah, it was what it was. And there we have it. D Mixolydian Funk, D7 Vamp, guitar backing track, 130 beats per minute from Jam Tracks for Days. I mean, that was literally... almost for a day. Right, thank you, Joe, for sending me that. And I'll have to listen to how the timing was after the live stream, so I can see whether Safari is more accurate, and maybe I can go forward with using that browser rather than Chrome while I try and figure it out, because I still don't think it's perfectly in time. So yeah. Right, now all that's left for me to say is try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I'm going to be here with another video tomorrow night, so look out for that one, because it is a really interesting one for something that I don't really understand as to how something has got to a particular stage and then being released in an official capacity. But yeah, look out for that tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on the channel. And yeah, I'm going to be live streaming again Tuesday night, and that's 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time as always. So have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Rock!